I want my pen show. Come on, behave.
Hey, we're live.
Oh.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our third Facebook Live Q&A with Summit Common Council members. Today, Council President Greg Vartan and Ward 1 Councilmember Susan Hairston are here to receive your comments and answer your questions. Hello, Council members, and welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for having us, Amy.
So glad you're here.
Yes.
Before we get started with some questions from viewers, I think it could be interesting for our audience to hear about how the city prepares for winter storms and what goes into it. I know that there were several departments watching the weather these past few days, all for different reasons. Would you care to tell us about it?
Well, sure. You want me to I'll get started on this one. So first of all, thank you, Susan, for doing the Facebook Live with us. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Amy, for getting this set up. We're doing this at 4 o'clock today. It's a different time than we've done the last few. And it's a high traffic time for our Facebook from what I've been told. So hopefully we'll get a lot of people watching and asking questions, and that'll be nice. So the snow, so you think about all the city departments that we run, and there's a number that have to do their job out and about in the world, whether there's snow or whether there's not snow. So of course the police department and the fire department have to be prepared to continue responding to emergencies no matter what the weather is. But then you've got, of course, our Department of Community Services, and then within that is our DPW. And so they are all what's part of what's basically my favorite thing that I've learned about since becoming a council person, which is called the snow fighting operation. And this is basically where everybody gets recalled, they come back in, and there's pizza and there's fun things going on. And then, of course, everybody gets ready to go and plow the streets and put the salt down and put the brine down and do all those things if it's necessary to do that. And one thing that I think is really interesting to learn, because I get a lot of texts when the snow starts from neighbors and stuff, where are the plows? They cannot start plowing, actually, until there's like 2 to 3 inches of snow on the ground. And of course, if you don't see a plow, it's likely just because they haven't got to your street yet. But, it's really interesting to learn that you could actually damage the street if you start plowing before there's enough snow on the ground to start plowing. So that's definitely a department that's all around the snow operation. And then you've got the communications office, and we heard from them last night about some updates to city services. So
thank you, Amy.
Yes, thank you for doing that. The recycling is bumped a day. We know that because they couldn't do that this morning. City offices opened later this morning. So that was all stuff that was communicated by the communications office. But then some of those were decisions that were made by the administrative team. And so the administrator and his team worked together to basically decide, okay, we're going to have this delayed opening. And that seemed like things were, it was a good time to come in and have a delayed opening today. And then, driving around town this afternoon, the streets look fantastic. It seems like everything so far went really well. So thank you to all of our city staff for that. And I was driving up past the Village Green, and I saw a bunch of kids who were having a very friendly snowball fight, and a couple of kids were building a snowman, and it was like a Norman Rockwell painting. It was wonderful. It was really lovely. So I don't know. Does that answer the question?
I do want to add a piece.
Yeah, please.
If your neighbor was concerned because they didn't hear the plows out, the neat part for me was I heard the salt spreaders
yes.
who do come out.
Yeah.
And that was a clue for me that we were having snow coming. If I had been buried in meetings, that was a good sign for me. So I know often we will get questions for school age. And is the school closing? And that's not City Hall's call. So that's one thing that I know people don't care. It's city, but it is a different requirement that I was glad to find out about that because we have teachers who come from long distances and they make those decisions in the idea of safety. So I love that we have people all over in many different departments really thinking about how weather is going to impact businesses, residents, and students.
Good point.
And I do know that we work very closely with the schools, and our DPW, which is the Division of Public
Works, yes.
They consult with the schools and let them know what the road conditions are like so they can make informed decisions.
Yep. So
Excellent.
all things working together.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Councilmember Hairston, I know that you're now serving on the Safety and Health Committee.
Back where I started.
And Council President Vartan, you've also served on
Yes.
that committee.
Yes.
Councilmember Hairston, would you please update us on the pedestrian safety campaign and what the police department is doing to make the streets safer for people who are walking and bicycling and to reduce distracted driving and speeding?
Thanks, Amy. I am happy to share this project that was started as a result of the accidents that have been happening. However, it is something that our police and engineering department have been involved with for a great deal of time. So I want to give you the overview, and then I know Greg will jump in with the details. There is a concerted effort to put signage up to make sure that we're not only informing drivers about how they need to be safe, but we're also encouraging pedestrians to be safe. And so this is something that impacts the downtown area, where we know with the congestion that is happening there, we have to make sure people know how to be safe. Remember how to walk across the street without looking at your phone. And so it is something that the Department of Transportation is also issuing guidelines, and that's what's so cool about the connection between this county, the state, and the federal government. These are things that are happening elsewhere. There's money to pay for some of the signage and things that we need to have happen. But I know, Greg, you can jump in and give us some of the details.
Sure. So when thinking about pedestrian and traffic safety, this is, of course, one of the most important things that we're dealing with as a local government. You've got the 3 E's to address pedestrian and traffic safety. You've got education, which is the stuff, some of the stuff we were talking about, about how we have to remind people what their responsibilities are, right? Whether it's behind the wheel or walking across the street or on a bicycle or on a scooter or whatever, right? There are rules of the road, and we have to educate our constituents about that. That's the first E. The second E has to do with enforcement, and that's where we have this sort of targeted campaign going on in the downtown. And if you and I think I'm going to try to make sure I get the number right. But if you are not yielding for a pedestrian in the crosswalk, or if you try to pass a car that's yielding for a pedestrian in the crosswalk, that's like an instant $230-something ticket, and that's a serious amount of money. And we've already issued a number of these, and the police are doing a targeted enforcement of this downtown to really get this message across. And it's not just drivers, of course. If you're a pedestrian and you're just launching yourself out into the middle of the street, that's no good either. So there's if you're a pedestrian who's not crossing in the right spot, or you're causing other traffic issues, that's, I think, a $50-something ticket as well, which is also not a small ticket. So we want to make sure that really what we're doing here is we're not trying to make any revenue off of this. We're not trying to make this a big budget thing. But this is about
the carrot and the stick.
Right, exactly.
Carrot and stick.
Yes, this is about changing behavior, right? And everybody just has to take a deep breath when we're in the downtown, right? Like we are driving big cars quickly to get where we need to go through the downtown, and we just have to remember that people are walking everywhere and people are driving everywhere, and we just have to take a deep breath, slow down when we're in the downtown, because we could save lives if we do that.
Third E.
Yeah.
Third E. You did 2 E's.
And then the third E, yes, I thought you were saying 30. The third E is the engineering stuff, and that's the stuff like, things like narrowing the road with paint. It's the things like putting in speed humps. It's the things like rectangular flashing beacons that we're doing at a number of new intersections as well. And stop signs are not technically traffic calming measures, but stop signs do sometimes have that effect. And at this coming council meeting, we do have a hearing on an ordinance to install a new four-way stop in town, and I think that's at Prospect and Blackburn. So, we know pedestrian traffic safety is basically the most important thing, and we're doing a lot of things to address that. So,
Amy, if I could just add one other thing, because I know pedestrian safety is a common sense issue. But I have to share with folks a little bit, our common sense has been knocked off the edge with being under the pandemic, and we need some encouragement about what good behavior is. So to some people who are out and about a lot, it seems like a no-brainer that you shouldn't be having your head buried in the phone while you're crossing the street. You shouldn't be easing up on at a stop sign or not even stopping at all. These are things you need to be reminded of. It's why we have the good signage, but we really want to ask folks to adopt some patience, and understanding for their fellow man, because we're all coming back to a new normal, and I am so appreciative of the reminders that are going out, and I am appreciative of the fines that are being given to people who are disregarding the rules of the road that they may have forgotten.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And of course, our police officers who are helping us to make sure that we're getting this done. So thank you to everybody. Yeah.
Great. Now I'd like to share some questions the Communications Office has been receiving by email and through the search tool on the city website. Sound
Sure.
good?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Is parking in the downtown free on weekends?
Sort of. So parking in the downtown is free on Sundays, but always the first hour is free in the DeForest lots. So if you're coming downtown, you're going to grab some food, you're going to go shopping, and then who knows, right? You could have a whole afternoon. I would just start in the DeForest lot, get the first hour free, and then if you decide you want to stay, make a day of it, go ahead and do that. I think that's great. But no parking charge on Sundays.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And is there 15 minutes free sometimes too?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Some of the spots, yeah.
Yep.
And we should talk about this because we've had some changes to the parking meters on Union Place, and they are now all 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And this is an actual parking program that we're putting into place to help with the traffic or the parking that's more
Turnover?
turnover.
Yes.
Thank
and
you.
and trying to prevent illegal parking
Yes,
as
and
well.
make it more safe.
Yes, double parking and parking where you're not supposed to in the striped lines. We talked about this a lot on the last Facebook Live too. So we're evaluating this to see how it's going there. But yeah, this is this was suggested by the businesses, and we're excited to see how it goes. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, here's another question. Is it possible to leave my car on the street overnight?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. If you make the call in advance and get permission. We do have certain streets in town that do allow for overnight parking, and that's really for the residents. However, we do have a mechanism for folks who need to on an emergency basis, or they're having work done every day. They need to call, and actually not even every day anymore. Now there is the mechanism for saying how long your work is going to be done, and you have to keep that up.
Yeah, so there's the overnight parking permit, but that's for areas where we've got apartment buildings and stuff, and you can check the city's parking utility website for where that's allowed, and you can purchase that permit through the city website. But then what you're talking about is the permission, right, for when you have people over, or when you have, you're doing your driveway redone and that sort of stuff. And that's the police website, because I think they're giving permission for that to be done. And so that's through cityofsummit.org/police, right?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And we just got a comment from Tracy saying, I love the change to 30 minutes on Union Place. It makes it so much easier to find a spot to park and do a few quick errands in that area.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
All right. So there are a couple more questions, but let's go through this list first, and then we'll get to the viewers.
Okay.
What is the minimum age to become a volunteer firefighter?
So that one, we would think was 18, but it's actually 19 years old.
Okay. And I'll do a quick plug. If you're a young person and you're thinking about becoming a first responder, and you're not yet 19, the squad will take people at age 16.
So what squad?
The First Aid Squad, the Summit Volunteer First Aid Squad, SummitEMS.org. And I was 17 when I started on the squad. Yeah.
It's a good plug for our volunteer opportunities, and the experience you get is awesome.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to volunteer to be a firefighter, or for any City of Summit committee or commission, you can go to the city website and click on the volunteer button and fill out an application.
Yes, please do. Please do.
All right. How do I obtain a copy of a police report?
Yes. So you can come to City Hall for that one. So you park in the parking lot, and then come all the way in through the door like you're coming to a council meeting where it says police department. And then once you walk in, it's on the left there. It says records unit. Very friendly people there can help you get a police report. And if they're not there and you need it, you can call also the police non-emergency number, which is 908-277-0051. Am I right?
Yes.
All right.
Good job.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And you probably can't order it over the phone, but they can give you the information you need to get it. How to get it.
Yes.
All right, this is a good one. How do I report a leaking faucet at Tatlock Field men's bathroom?
Are you asking me this because I did it? because I reported this?
Did you?
I might have.
Okay.
I mean, it seems like it's always leaking there, but
That's not right.
no. What I would do, so that's an easy C-click fix. That's a fantastic example of a C-click fix. And we talked about in the last Facebook Live how I'm done getting new apps on my phone. But you just go to the City of Summit website and click Report a Concern. You can upload a picture of the leaky faucet, and they will, typically within 24 hours, they will come and fix that stuff. So you can do that with the leaky faucet at Tatlock. You could do it with missing trash or recycling pickup. You could do it with potholes and stuff too. So,
For me, going to the transfer station this weekend, really excited about the free market, and I wanted to go early, but Jerome wanted to go at the last possible minute, and we missed the free market because it was closed at 3 o'clock. And so what did I want to do? I wanted to go on Click Fix and say, we need signage out there that tells us what time the free market would be open. But guess what? My colleagues just let me know that there's already signage there.
There might be. Yeah, we think there is.
So, Councilmember Hairston, the free market is on the second Saturday of every month. So even if you did get there at 11, it still would have been closed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second Saturday.
And that was what my am I saying it right? The
C-click fix.
C-click fix. Because I said, if there was a sign here, then I could have just pinched Jerome right then and there and said, see.
So I'm going to check to see if there's
check.
proper
Yeah.
signage, and if not, we'll get that put up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I just really want to emphasize for those who are watching, here is your opportunity to help Summit be as awesome as it possibly can. Or you'll find out why we can't do it, because some of these ideas have things that cannot be done, and that's the neat thing about it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Here's the next one related to the transfer station.
Okay.
What can I bring?
Well, what can't you bring? Really? I mean, I
It's
think
the envy.
I
Our
think,
transfer
yeah.
station is the envy of New Jersey.
I mean, go check out for sure cityofsummit.org. I guess it's trash and recycling, the trash and recycling section of the website for what you can bring there. But it's hard to think of what you can't bring there, right? So you can bring your regular household kitchen waste and stuff. You can now compost food, which we talked about last time. You can recycle all kinds of things there. Of course, aluminum cans and stuff. You can recycle Legos. You can recycle Christmas lights. The white styrofoam section. You have a electronics section there. Your vegetation, your yard clippings. You know, this is an amazing place.
It used to be called the dump. It is not the dump anymore.
Or depending on where you
so beautifully laid out and organized. You can bring your books, which I never bring my books
book
because
barn.
I love my books.
I said to Megan, I'll mention you. I'll say how much you love the book barn, and then I forgot to do it. Sorry.
You're welcome, Megan.
Yeah, the book barn. She loves it.
All right, so what if I wanted a list of what I could find there?
That's on the city website, for sure.
Yeah.
What you can bring to the transfer station, definitely on the city website.
And the guys there are so amazingly helpful.
Oh, yeah.
There's guys and women. I know somebody who was at the security box. They are so helpful, but there is signage about what you can bring, where it goes, because our environmental commission has made sure that we are doing everything within the best interest of the environment for both you and your home, and also our water, and it's really the envy of the state.
Great. Thank you for that. We have a few questions here.
Okay.
And we're going to jump to those now.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm the community manager for Summit Park, 412 Morris Ave. We are next to the school field. We have a history of flash flooding which has gotten worse. We had an engineer tell us the problem is due to the storm drains and not being able to handle the capacity, and there isn't anything we can do to remedy. Question. We read about the possibility of a turf field being considered for the school field. More water will be directed to storm drains rather than absorbed to the ground. Has there been any study for the storm drain capacity? Any plans to address this? Incidentally, we suffered more than $150,000 loss and 7 or 8 cars in a recent storm even. We have a unit that is not habitable. Hope you can help. Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
Because I absolutely want to speak to it. I'll let you go first,
please.
because I'm down by the Magic Fountain, which we had dreadful flooding there. So I really want to help address this.
So we definitely want to help answer these questions and get this addressed. I think this is a good email to send to us, and we can involve the Board of Ed and the athletics director to get into the details of what having turf on that field would entail, and what my guess is, because we have very strict procedures, is that there would have to be some sort of drainage installed as part of any project. But so far I don't think we're there yet. So I would encourage you to send us an email about that, and we can loop in the Board of Ed, and we can loop in the school administrators, and we can make sure that we get you good answers to those questions. But you're in the neighborhood, so I want you to...
So I'm not in that neighborhood, because I believe this one is talking about the community center, which is
Bedford.
Mars Avenue.
No, this is near Bedford, right near the lower turf field, the lower high school field.
Oh, okay.
So kind of close to you.
It is close to me then. And so what I thought I heard the question asking is, if we're having these flooding problems, what is the best way to make sure that somebody is doing something about it? And it is actually writing to, I would say, is it the engineering department?
Yeah, if you want to just write it to members.
I'll post your email address.
You'll post our email,
But I don't want to stop here, because flooding is a dreadful problem that is being exacerbated by the work that is being done by the water company and the PSE&G. And so one of the things that the mayor was amazing at getting information about, because I heard they had damage, the PSE&G and I believe even the water company will facilitate folks who had not enough insurance to get reimbursed for damages. And so that happened in our Webster Avenue area.
Yeah.
And so if this is the same area, because it is usually a combination of forces, because otherwise, if it is just something that is happening through routine, a problem with a sewer or something like that, we report that information and the city will take care of it right away. So I wanted to make sure. We do want, as you said, Greg, for them to email us with the details, and we will see that it gets to the right office, city staff to take care of it.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, here's a question from, and Terry, who is the person who asked that question, said, same as Magic Fountain and the car dealership as well. So it's affecting that whole area.
Okay. Thank you, Terry.
So Sue says, if Maple Street is closed this summer for dining, what state approvals are needed, and is it realistic they will be received prior to June?
Well, so I think where we are on Maple Street is that council committees and city staff members are currently working to do their due diligence to make sure that this is possible for us to do, that it's safe, that we know the legal path, that we know that there are fees in place, and that we know what it would look like. So on the legal side of things, what would be required from the Department of Transportation is an application from the city. And what's involved in that application is I don't have all the details to share right this minute, but we would make sure that we're submitting whatever would be required if that's the way that if that's what we're going to be taking action on. And I think, we haven't had anything on the agenda yet. We haven't had any official actions on our council agenda. But when we do, if we do, we'll want to have all those things that I mentioned a minute ago pretty much squared away before we come back and say we're going to go ahead and vote on something and submit something and go ahead with it. We want to make sure we've got our T's crossed and our I's dotted before we move forward. Is that?
And I don't think anything? You know that I'm literal, so I think they just wanted to know what were the things that what were the approvals. So I think Greg covered it all.
Sure.
But
I have a tendency to.
It's okay.
You know.
That's why we're a good pair.
Thank you.
And so I want to make sure that there is full understanding that we can't even go forward with closing it until we've had all of those approvals from the state, and that we've done the studies. And so if the question is asking, do we think it will be done in time? If it isn't done in time, it won't happen. That's the point that I think is good to make.
All right. And then the same person, Sue, clarified that you can also, through an OPA request, get a police report online.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
All right. And
thank you, Sue.
Here's a question from Dory. Can you please tell everyone why you chose to not allow email questions? And then she says, sorry, it hit send before I was finished. Why are email questions not allowed for council meetings anymore? And I would prefer public comments to be moved to the beginning of the meeting and council member comments to be moved prior to resident comments. Thanks.
Okay, so I guess we'll take them backwards, right? So, the format of the agenda, the order of business of the meetings, is something that the council president comes up with, and then we vote on it as part of the council rules at the reorganization meeting in January. And so, at that time, in my remarks then and several times since then, we've reiterated why we think it's important to get through the business that's listed first, and then go to the comments that are not on the agenda. So again, just so everyone knows, I can definitely speak for every member of council because I've spoken to every member of council about this specifically. We want to hear from the community about the things that are important to you. What we have at council meetings is a listed business agenda. It's a business meeting of our government. And so those things that are listed ahead of time on the agenda and then included with details in the packet and memos and all these things, we have to get through those things first. Mm-hmm. And it's really just about getting through those things in an efficient manner with city staff there, ensuring that we can comment and we can have questions from council members and from the community, and that we can get answers to those things that are listed on the business agenda first. And those things, we have every action that we take, we ask for public comments. So every opportunity, every time we do something, we have an opportunity for public comments. And then what we do is we have a little bit closer to the end of the meeting, the opportunity for public comments for things that are not on the agenda. Mm-hmm. But what I would say, again, because I think I've said this in Facebook Lives that we've done before, is my sincere hope is that people are not waiting until the next council meeting to get in touch with us. We have our emails listed on the city website. Our phone numbers are on the city website. Our snail mail addresses. Sometimes you can mail a letter quicker than the next council meeting we have. And those are very effective ways to get in touch with us. We'll have a meeting with people. We'll get on the phone with people. Those are very effective ways to get in touch with us.
And I'll jump in and pick up about the email. So hi, Dory. Yeah. And I don't know if you're thinking that we are no longer addressing those questions that are emailed to council, because we absolutely are.
Oh, yeah.
Our city clerk, Clerk Licatis, keeps a running list of all of the emails that come in, and she does categorize them, and for the sake of efficiency, she raises them in a way in which council can respond to them, and it's typically through council president. Yeah. So Dory, if you're thinking that we're no longer addressing email correspondence, we absolutely are doing that.
Yeah, and
it
so
says specifically at council meetings.
So
no, we are at council meetings.
So maybe the question is about we're not reading aloud.
No.
Comments that are emailed in at council meetings.
No.
And that was something that was started around the time of the pandemic-related protocols that we had. And so when the state health emergency was no longer, when the governor declared that the state health emergency was over, we went back to basically what normal operating procedures would be for a council meeting. So if you want to have a public comment at a council meeting, you have to do that at the council meeting. But if you want to email us, any council member can choose to have that be treated as what's called a DAR. And we talked about this at the last Facebook Live as well, where it stands for discussion, action, or referral. And we have a ton of these, a running list of a ton of these, where it'll get sent to a committee or more than one committee, and they discuss it, and then we either take action on it on an official council agenda, or it's referred to another committee, another agency, another level of government. And so when you send an email to a member of council or all the members of council, it's sometimes treated as a DAR, and then you'll get a note from the city clerk, and then you'll probably get a follow-up from either the department head or the council member that's the chair of that committee. So I hope that answers that.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, this is from Eric. What does the vetting process entail when council reviews applications for volunteer boards and committees?
We are very lucky to have hundreds of volunteers in our city that have submitted applications and are willing to give of their time and their talent to help the city run better. And so what's involved is council members will look at the applications that come in. We'll look at the existing makeup of the committee, how many members are retiring, are coming off of committees, how many members would like to be reappointed. Sometimes we have very specific requirements about, sometimes we'll hold a committee spot for a senior or a high school student or someone from a particular group. And so we see what our requirements are for those boards and commissions. And then we'll typically, the council liaison to that board and commission will typically speak with the chair of that board and commission, see what they're looking for in a member, see how the group is functioning now, and then ultimately those are decisions that are made by council in our closed session discussions. So ultimately, we make a decision in closed session, and then we put it on our regular business agenda and move ahead and vote on them. I don't know if that. Do you want to add more to that?
I don't want to feel like I'm giving a plug for our communications team here, but we have an amazing website that really gives great detail about all of the committees, because we are so fortunate to have a town where people are willing to volunteer their time. Mm-hmm. And so we keep a running list, and we have a very good process annually for refilling them, because people don't even know they have term limits. And so
they're not always limits; they're just defined terms.
Guidance.
Term limits. Yeah.
Some they are, because you can even say you're interested in being on the Board of Education through signing up, and we know that there are very specific requirements. And some of these you have to even go get training if you're going to be on the zoning board
or the housing authority
or the housing authority,
number of other boards.
And so it is a complex, but it isn't complex because it's really specified and laid out how you submit your interest. And we are very fortunate that Summit has a huge cadre of folks interested. And Amy, I know you are looking to move forward, but this is where I can plug something that we're working on in Law and Labor and the admin committee, that we are going to do a training this year for all of our volunteers.
That's great.
Yes.
And we're so excited about that, and to help people know the responsibilities that go along with it, the ethics, and also the gratitude that we have. So thank you, Eric, for that question.
And I just want to thank you, Susan, for spearheading this effort, because it's going to involve our clerk's office, but it's also going to involve our city attorneys, and Rutgers is involved. And we're going to make this happen with, it's going to cost money, but not city money.
Not our money.
Which is my favorite thing. So thank you, Susan, for leading this effort.
Okay, so we're at 37 minutes. So
Okay.
We have a couple more questions.
Is that 3 minutes left?
We need to go through them a little.
Rapid fire?
Some rapid fire.
Okay.
Kevin wants to know, why weren't all the studies done with respect to the closure of Maple Street last year? Governor Murphy's emergency order was removed over a year ago.
Well,
are we doing more studies?
Well, so I can't speak to last year, because last year's closure was approved by the State Department of Transportation. So if we were missing things last year, the state DOT would have asked us for it. So I don't know what specific studies are being asked, but if we have more questions,
I think you referenced studies, Councilmember Hairston.
Oh, so we are not able to do a closing if studies are not done, because that is a part of the documentation that has to be provided. So I can speak
sure
to every hurdle was crossed to allow us. The rules were probably different if the governor was still allowing us, for pandemic reasons, to have an opening. We do not do things out of alignment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Dory's back again, saying thank you for addressing that, Council President. However, as a way of changing behavior and engaging the public, I truly feel you are silencing people who can't attend meetings. This is not the way to be transparent and get people to express their opinions. please reconsider this, as many people who write in are elderly, have disabilities, or are sick, or may be away.
Okay, so thank you. We are. Thank you. I think
We
got
have
a
just
number,
as many people saying thank you for allowing us to get through the business of the meeting. So, thank you for raising that concern.
Thank you. And what we have done is simultaneously, while recognizing that this public comments on things, again, that are not on the agenda are at a different part of the meeting, is that we've done a number of things to try to expand access to council members. There's this kind of thing happening right now where we're having a virtual, informal conversation with our constituents. We're going to have an office downstairs at City Hall. We walked through, and that's hopefully going to look very nice for us to have some meetings. But again, if people have lots and lots of opportunities to reach out to us, and we really, really do hope that they do that. The council meeting is not the be-all, end-all of communication with council members.
Good point. Good point.
Okay. All right. I would like to plug the City of Summit internship program.
Yes.
Get your application in now to hr@cityofsummit.org by March 10th. That's the deadline.
This is a big deal because they're all paid this year. It's $15 an hour. It's 4 days a week. It's going to be a spectacular internship, and it's going to be the kind of opportunity that's now available to kids, to students who would also otherwise have to make money in the summer. And I think that it's a wonderful, wonderful change.
All right. And is there anything else that either of you would like to talk about? We're at 41 minutes. Great conversation.
Yeah, I totally want to plug the Teens for Tech, who have been helping senior citizens get tech savvy or tech literate or just minimum tech engagement. I am just so happy that that's happening, connecting our youth with the seniors. And so I absolutely want to plug that program that's going on. Do we have any information about how, if folks want to get their teens or their seniors involved?
Yes, it's on the DCP site. Is it on the City of Summit page?
It will be.
Okay.
Awesome.
So,
thanks.
More info to come on that. Yeah.
So summitcommunityprograms.com is where you can find it.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
Perfect.
you both.
That's it.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you guys for
Thank you. Thank you very
tuning
much.
in.
Yes. Have a great day. Great evening.